a choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expanding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Bernie Taylor, welcome back to the show. Your episode 218 will be located down below. BeforeOrion.com, and all the ways to find you are going to be located down there equally. Now, the fun part about you coming back as a return guest is we don't need to start with the whole backstory, like everything from 5 years old to where we are now. What we can do, though, is invite you to just let us know what you've been doing in the meantime since we've talked to you last. And then, dude, let's get into this amazing presentation that you've got for us. This is going to be awesome. How are you?
Well, I'm doing awesome, but we're going to go back to 75,000 years ago. So that's kind of the back. We're gonna have to go deep today, deep, because that's part of the story. And the last time we were on, we talked about the gallery discs and this journey from northern Spain, the Rock of Gibraltar into Africa, and we talked about the Homo naledi. And my blog post for Homo naledi has about 10,000 views. That's a lot. I mean, that's like in my world, that's a lot. Academic articles might find like 200 views on, and 10,000 views is a huge amount. And so I kind of mixed up the whole Homo naledi narrative, and people aren't happy. A few people are happy, but it's I definitely pushed a few buttons. And my backstory on this whole thing is I'm not out there to push buttons. I'm just looking for an alternative explanation. And typically these explanations are measurable and they're repeatable. They're not coming out of the sky. They're not coming through someone's figment of imagination or shadows in the cave. But one of the things that's happened since the last time we talked is we went to northern Spain. Actually went to Madrid and then to northern Spain. And Madrid was really cool because we went to the museums with the Regina Sofia, which has Picasso and Dali.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool. And I saw some Dali image paintings that I hadn't seen before that talks about this kind of whole pareidolia concept of people and the faces in the mountains. And it was really awesome to see this. I hadn't seen this one painting before, but it was knockout in Madrid. And then we saw Guernica, and you can actually, Guernica is the big one, right? It's, probably 10 meters across. And Guernica, you can now take your picture do like a selfie, which was forbidden for many, many years. And that was cool. And so we saw the modern art. I say it's Paleolithic art, but, Spanish say it's modern art. And then we saw the town and some other museums and ate great food, lots of paella. And we went north. Went north by train, which is probably about 4 hours. We went up to Asturias. And Asturias and Cantabria are where these cave art images that I work with. What was most interesting is going north, about halfway, you just start seeing limestone mountains everywhere. I mean, it was all underwater in the past. And you can really get a sense of the place that these Upper Paleolithic artists lived in. All white mountains. And you just look at these mountains. This one looks like a bear. That one's like a horse. They all look like something. And it was a magical world to be in for people a long time ago, as well as today. We landed in Astoria. Not land, I guess, but we departed our train in Astoria. And we had awesome food and cider. And I'm not more a cider than a wine person. Their cider, they fermented with lemon, with lemon, and then they lift it up real high, like high, farther high the screen, and they drop it or pour it into a cup that's down by my knees, okay, and it sort of bubbles up, and then they do it by the shot. So whatever that shot is what you drink. And so you know another shot to do the whole thing. And so it gives it that not just the fermentation, but it gives the bubble. And at places where they don't have the ability to do that, where there's just a normal waiter and waitresses, they have a machine. You push the button on the machine and it does the exact same thing per shot. So it was an acquired taste, and it was fun by the end. We had lots of fresh seafood, and we stayed next to this in Yanni's on the North Coast. We stayed in a Airbnb that was next to a church, and the church was probably 14th, 15th century, and we told the time by the clocks, by the bells. So we didn't have to have a watch. And here we look at people look at their phones and their watches. It's just so unholy, it's just not godly. Whereas in the Yanni's, we listen to the voice of the angels, so they hit the bells.
That's beautiful.
So that was fun. And the same thing in Madrid. And so in Madrid, we were totally hung up. We had jet lag for 2-3 days, and we didn't have to get up to check our phones to see what time it was. We just listened, count the bells. And it was the same thing in Yanni's. But the tough thing about Spain, if anybody has been there, is that the restaurant dinner doesn't start till 8 o'clock. Okay, I mean, that's when the oven actually opens up. And so we're able to figure out sort of a fried food regime, but good fried food of fish. And we had a great time and met new people. Actually, we met people that I've been communicating for years, and archaeologists as well. And then we connected with lots of people in northern Spain and Madrid, and we just had a good old time for about 2 weeks. So that's what I did in September. And then I came back. And I started working on what our program is today. And something I'd seen back in July, but I was busy with all these other things, including the Homo naledi, which we talked about last time. And so I was holding on to this. And it just so happened that by the time I finished my presentation on it, it just jumped out in the media again, because people were retelling their story and how momentous their discovery was, which we're going to learn today. Pretty incredible discovery. Just not what they thought it was. And so that's where we are in time and space in the last few months.
Outstanding. It's been wild. It sounds like you've just been crushing it, dude. I love this. What amazing adventure you've been on, and then now you're back to the work, and you've got some fascinating stuff we're going to talk about. I mean, I'm not even going to ruin it, actually. I'm just going to be grateful that you're here, and thank you once again. And then also to remind the audience that his first episode number 218, and all the other ways to find him located down in the show description, guys. Check it out for damn sure. Love you some Bernie Taylor. Okay, Bernie, absolutely. So, where do you want to start, buddy?
Well, for everybody out there in audio podcast land, we're going to have images. We're going to have a lot of images.
Look at this guy.
So you got to go on YouTube, okay? You can listen in. It'll be really cool. We have great conversation. You can hear my cider. Fermented with lemon.
Tell you what, we're doing the Patreon thing now, but all of these episodes go up there for free. So actually, the link for this video, the video version of it, over on Patreon will be up down in the show description, as well as all the ways to find you. But good note, dude, you nailed it. You're crushing it at this. You know that. People need, because these are some of the most important images in the history of mankind. Yeah, you shout out the video version. Absolutely. So you got to get out there. So we're gonna do some video. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna jump to a share screen, and we're going to slideshow. We're gonna go to slideshow. We're gonna go from current slide, and you see the first slide, correct? Yes. Neanderthal art. Yes. We are rocking it. It took me a few months to figure this whole thing out, but during COVID, what else was there to do? I'm glad you didn't just drink yourself stupid. Well done on you. Well, if I had, because there's options, Bernie. But you chose to study Neanderthal art, and I think that's really responsible, and not only that, but adorable and fucking cool. Yeah. Well, I also had some time to do lots of cider. Okay, well then there you go. Yeah, from way up high down to my cup. Cool stuff. That's right. And so we're going to talk about Neanderthal art today. And Neanderthal art is with a question mark. That is really, really, really important. And there have been claims of Neanderthal art for about a decade. Okay, and they've been in the literature, the scientific literature, and popular media, all these different places. And there is a question: did Neanderthals actually make art? Or cave art, one should say. I'm okay with saying that they made a spearhead
flaked to the white, I would call that art. I'm good with that. I'm good with shells around the neck as calling it art, and I'm good with people putting pigment on their bodies as art. But we're going to talk about cave art on the walls of caves, which is a step up. Than someone painting the body, which I'm actually really cool with. So can any of these things be scientific validated, which is the question we're going to ask today? Well, just this past July, big study came out. Neanderthals created Europe's oldest intentional engravings up to 75,000 years ago, study suggests, in Live Science. So therefore it must be true, right? That's right? Oh, we got a doubtful brand in here. Okay. Okay.
Doubting Thomas. And I think it served us well, by the way.
Okay.
The doubting Thomases throughout history. We've been like,
exactly.
I don't know.
So here we have another news from the University of Bordeaux. And they say, this one says, La Rose-Cotard, the oldest engravings in France, identified on the walls of a cave. And they're saying 57,000 to 75,000 years ago. So anyways, now the numbers are dropping, right? And so what happens is people, archaeologists, and just about everybody, you always give your bigger number. You got some bass on your farm, on your land. Do you say, if you caught 3 bass and one was, 12 inches, and one was 16, and one was 20, which one do you talk about? Right? Nobody talks about 20. You say you caught three big bass, or say one is 20. But Joe, people push the numbers to make it more interesting. Now, this dating is not on the engravings themselves, but rather the access to the cave. So they said that the archaeologists believe that there was a river nearby, and the river had washed over the cave entrance, and that cave entrance had been closed down up to about 57,000 years ago. So they say that it had to have been made before 57,000 years ago because of how the cave was closed up, okay, by the river. So that's important. We're not talking about the dating of the cave art. We're talking about the dating of access to the cave. Okay. So there's a documentary on it's actually, you can see it not in the U.S. If anybody out there in Europe, it's on Arte, and it's about the Neanderthals, proposed Neanderthal art, La Rose-Cotard, which is the cave we're talking about, and the story of the man who spent his lifetime on this journey. Probably a really cool story, but it's blocked in the United States. So it's out there.
You can't even watch it online. Like if I ask one of our one of our people out there to send me a link to this thing, I couldn't link it down there with this, and we could watch it online somewhere.
Yeah. So you can actually get the link. You can go to the link online. You can go to the page, the page of this, for the documentary. But when you go into it, you push the button. This is not available in the United States. Actually, not available where you live. Yeah, but it appears to be like a public access program that
there's to be
people
Nazi
in Europe
propaganda. What do you think? Is there something deep hidden in this thing? But you've seen it, and you've gotten access to this thing, so you're able to be.
I can't.
Because you can't.
I can't.
What about if somebody? All right, look, everybody out there, guys, everybody. I know somebody is listening to this, going, "Fuck that, mate! I'm gonna just record it on my phone while the screen's on." And you guys can do this, and just send me a thing of it, Bernie. I'm gonna shoot you a copy of this thing. We're gonna find out why it's so banned and elusive.
Maybe they don't want me to see it to make a mess of it, like everything else.
We're doing it.
Okay, so there's. When people say this is Neanderthal art and it's 57,000, it's 57,000 years ago, therefore can't be Homo sapiens, us, is because the oldest evidence of Homo sapiens in Europe is about 54,000 years ago, and it's based on a molder or tooth. And in another cave in France, there was Neanderthal remains or artifacts. There was this Homo sapiens molder with artifacts, and there were Neanderthals on top. So Neanderthals there, Homo sapiens were there, they left. Neanderthals came back again. And so what they're saying is it has to be older than that because 54,000 years ago we have this molder. But this Neanderthal story 10 years ago was based on 30,000 years ago because we didn't have any evidence at that time that Neanderthals had been in Europe earlier. And so Homo sapiens dates keep getting pushed back further in time, and now we're 54,000 years ago. And all that stuff that was claimed that was 30, 35, 40,000 years ago, 10 years ago, it's still said to be Neanderthal art, but the validation that Homo sapiens weren't there is no longer there. It's nonsensical, and but people they keep to their stories. They keep to their fame and their plaques and trophies and things like that. So the story, the narrative of the closing off of the cave and how they dated it that way and all that sort of stuff is in a open access paper, PLOS One, the earliest ambiguous Neanderthal engravings on cave walls at La Roche-Cotard in France. And some great pictures in this paper. They were awesome at doing pictures. And they have two kinds of pictures and images. And they have, one is an actual photograph of the panels. And then they illustrate where they believe that there are lines, and actually finger lines, they call flutings, finger lines that are made by the artists. They say the Neanderthal artists, and they did a really awesome job on figuring out what these finger lines were. And they gave all the images. Now there's a program in the United States that around the world, it's fell in California, developed it called D-Stretch, John Harmon. And what D-Stretch does is it substitutes images. So a black might become blue, for example, in this case. And I threw D-Stretch at this. And what you can see is that there's actually a lot more going on in this panel than what we see that they had in their finger flutings. Because what's going on is that there's natural irregularities on the cave wall, on the panel. And those natural irregularities fit in with perhaps a theme of this. There's actually colorations on the panel. There's differences between the foreground of brown and it's actually the whites in the background, but on this image we see it as neon green. And so there's actually differences in coloration on this panel. Really cool idea, which they didn't consider for two reasons. One is they just saw the finger flutings, and number two is they assumed that the Neanderthals didn't make art like as we know, therefore they need to go look for art as we know it. Important concept. Okay. And next to that, what I just showed you there is another panel. It's like right next to it. And it's called the undulated panel. And we can see the same thing. They did an awesome job of picking out these finger lines on the panel. I mean, it's tedious work. It's not something that I could do. I could throw D-Stretch at it just like I'm doing right now. Like, whoa, I got stuff.
When was
that
illustrated? Image, it says it was illustrated in 2023. This year?
Oh, that's when the paper came out in 2023. So they illustrate within the last 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this is brand new stuff. This came out in July. The paper came out in July, but I was wrapped up with the Homo Luddi stuff, and we're going to Spain. I put it on the back shelf, and I came back afterwards to pull it together in a presentation. And so we get a panel that's right next to it, is called the undulated panel. And we can see the same concept. We see their awesome finger lines, the great archaeology, but we can also see differences in coloration on the same panel. Cool stuff.
Man, that not to cut you off here, but I'm going to do it. That at the bottom there, right above the word, it looks like a hand with just the fingers sort of lopped off here, but it's got like a watch on. Do you see that?
I see what you're looking at. Yeah. Okay.
Is that pareidolia? Is that what I'm doing?
So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna go there.
I don't want to get ahead. Okay, I get excited.
We have places to go. We have places to see. This is
take us, buddy.
Now, if anybody out there who views rock art, you can download D-Stretch for about $40 online. You type in D-Stretch and you get on your cell phone, you get on your laptop, you get on your pad, and do not look at rock art without using D-Stretch. You can take a picture. You can take a picture and then take it home. That's cool. But you can also get on your cell phone and you can actually use it in the field. Because what happens is that in the field, you look at rock art, there's obviously some of it's been worn off. And you often have art on top of the other art. And D-Stretch separates that for you. It separates the colorations. In this case, we're not actually looking at colorations, but different, like nobody painted it red, for example. But what we're looking at is different layers of coloration as the finger lines took away material. Okay, so that's an important concept. And so my position is that those two images we just saw are actually one panel. And I'm calling it the panel of the bears because there is no name for this panel. And what the French and the Spanish love about me so much, the archaeologists, is that I name panels for them. And it's just been like this bond we have with each other.
Will you let me name one next time? The next one?
Absolutely. You know, I actually have a deal. When I did the gallery of the discs, there were I put it out. I went out there online and I said, anybody, if you see something here that I don't see, let me know. And there's a guy who said, well, I see a bird there. And we worked it back, and he was absolutely right. It was an ostrich. And I had totally missed it. And which is cool. And so I named the ostrich after he's just his daughter. We named it after his daughter, and the name of his daughter is in the book for the ostrich. And so absolutely we'll do a panel. Yeah, I've got
Beautiful.
stacks of these things.
Love it.
So I'm saying that these two are actually one panel. Lots of lines and different. You can see different colorations and lots going on there. And we can look at it with D-stretch again. You just throw D-stretch and it's magical. Okay. And if you do any sort of, contact in the cabin type of thing, your program, if you go to a rock art place, if you anywhere near a rock art place, get D-stretch and bring it out with you, and you just like blow everybody like, wow, I see things. So anyway, the panel of the bears viewed through D-stretch, we can see all these different colorations in addition to their finger tracing lines made by the question mark. Okay, they say Neanderthals. We will see. So I contacted the primary author of the study, who's the main character in the documentary, the French fellow, and he's like in his mid-70s, and this is like in his life's work. He's got a lot of pride. There's a lot of national pride in this whole thing. I said, hey, this is what I got going on here. And he was very kind. He said, well, I've got two French friends who are prominent archaeologists who agree 100% with what I say. Okay. So, but what he didn't do is he didn't go out to the other 25 people in the paper and ask them what they thought, which was probably not the smart move. And what I didn't realize at the time is he was sure he had a documentary coming out. There's no way he was going to change his position, because the documentary was this RT, people can see it in Europe. The documentary is based on his whole story about this, how we discovered Neanderthal art, which we will determine today together, you and I, if it's in fact true.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. And so we can see on this panel, we see a mother bear. Fascinating. Absolutely. You can see how the muzzle of the mother bear is brownish. You can see that darker brown. You can see her eye just above the muzzle. You can see the haunches on the front haunch on her back. You can see, perhaps the left paw coming forward, left arm. And so it kind of, once you see it, it jumps out. You cannot not see it. It's a visual thing.
It's a bear or a chartreuse. What do they call those? Not chartreuse. Sharpei. You know those little dogs that are like really, really wrinkly? It looks like it's a wrinkly necked dog.
I'm gonna give you that one. Yeah.
Just add it in there.
Next time I'll call it the panel of Sharpei. So not only do we have a mother bear, but we've got a cub hanging off her back. Whoa!
Oh, wow!
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Isn't that adorable? So the cub is looking straight at us. I mean, you and I. He's looking at us in the audience. We're the viewers. And it's just hanging off the back there. It's like really, really, really cool, which is what bear cubs do. You go to Alaska or go online, Google picture bear cubs in Alaska, and you see them hanging off the back of the mother bear. I've been to Alaska a few times, and I took fishing. I went fishing up in Alaska and for trout and sabbit. And I remember going down the river, and the guide used to talk about, we'd see a moose and we'd see a big bear with their cubs, and which one would win in a fight. And the guide said it was the bear, the moose. So what's all interesting is we have other characters. We have this feline meaning cat. It's a big cat, and it looks like it's hanging on the top of the bear. Now the face is a little difficult to see, but you can see the tail and the hind. Okay. And the tail is like really, really, really cool, because that is not natural. I would say that the artist, carved a bone and stuck it in the wall, because it's impossible for any sort of dripping or erosion to form that shape. It's just like the waving of a cat. Now, what's interesting about this image is that Winston Churchill once said that dogs look up to us, cats look down on us, and the pigs, they treat us as equals. And we really have this cat, this big feline looking down, and the feline is sort of hanging around on top of the cub. It definitely hasn't taken the cub away, because otherwise the mother bear would be all over it. And we can see that in D-stretch again. and it really pulls out that tail and the hind area of the cat. So that was that's a relief. Okay, so somebody carved that thing out of the wall, and I would say stuck a bone in there for the shape of the end of the tail. Really, really cool stuff. But we can see that the relationship and also between the feline and the bear cub. This is about as cool as by the way, this is about as cool as you can get in rock art and cave art.
It's very cool. And maybe it's some sort of like Neolithic Homeward Bound situation. Are you familiar with the Homeward Bound movie? Remember it came out in like the 90s, I think?
Yes, I did. Yeah, with the bears.
With the two dogs and the cat running around. But instead of the two dogs, it's two bears and the cat. And so instead of this like predatory element, maybe they're just traveling together, getting into
maybe they are
adventures.
Except now that we've just introduced hyenas.
I would like to name that panel Neolithic Homeward Bound type situation.
That's actually it would be upper Paleolithic. This is old. This is old.
Wow. Paleolithic Homeward Bound. There you go.
So now we have hyenas looking on. So we have the feline on top. The hyenas looking on from the viewer's far right. And this is at least two hyenas. And this is not the first time I've seen hyenas in Upper Paleolithic cave art, but it's really, really, really cool. So if you're out there in podcast land and audio, you got to come to YouTube and subscribe when you're there.
Check the link in the show description, guys. He's got a whole thing going here. He really does this right. Come check it out. Links right down below.
Absolutely. And so it's the story is not done. You would ask, you saw a hand in there. Well, actually, what you saw is with the part of that hand is actually the rear left leg of an antelope. Okay, so it's actually a dead antelope. Okay, and below the dead antelope is a cervid or deer. Okay, so these two animals are both dead, whereas everything else, the mother bear, the baby bear, the feline, and the hyenas, they're all alive. And so we're probably in a cave here, and this is their winter food. And these other animals, the hyena and the feline, are kind of trying to nibble in on the winter food. Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you actually, you really can't, you can't see the other animals. I'm sorry, you cannot see the entire profile of the bear, the body, because these other animals are laying on top of it, or like the hyenas are form its hind. But really cool, antelope, and laying on its back, and it's dead. This is a scene. Now, this is interesting. There is a character that I have no freaking idea what it is. And I don't know that it's a foot or it's a hand, but I'm pretty sure that would help us identify what the bear is actually eating. Or there's another character to the viewer's far left. Another possibility. I don't have the full image. It's quite possible as a character to the viewer's far left, and this may be some sort of a hand or a foot that connects to that character. Don't know, because we don't have enough information. Because the archaeologists who work in this weren't thinking about there's a hand or a foot there. They didn't go. They were working the finger tracings and that sort of stuff. And we can put the whole picture together, and it's totally awesome. We can see the mother bear with this leg or foot under her. We see the feline at the top of the panel that's stalking over the bear cub. The bear cub seems to be nibbling a little bit on the antelope. The cervid or deer is below, and then the hyenas behind. Perhaps the hyenas actually form the hind of the bear. I didn't feel that it was lines in, but we can see this compilation of animals, and this is probably in a cave. And the mother bear is probably sleeping, because if she wasn't sleeping, she'd be all over the hyenas and the feline to protect her own bear cub. And when that bear cub catches wind of what's going on, bear cub's going to squeal, and this whole thing's just going to be an eruption of absolute chaos. And that is the panel of the bears. And this is what I sent to the French archaeologists last July. And I was reaching out. I was being a really nice guy. This is what I have. You guys have done amazing work. I'm open to this may or may not be Neanderthals, but it may be Neanderthal Homo sapien hybrids. I said I was okay with that idea, so I wasn't like totally rocking their boat. And they got I've got two French archaeologists standing behind me. Okay. Well, I looked at briefly at that time, but I actually hadn't explored further, was three more panels that had in the cave. And I looked at them right away. I said, okay, I see some stuff going on, but I'm going to put it on the shelf. And then I came back and looked at it more deeply in October. So that's not that long ago. And there's 3 panels called the triangle panel, the dotted panel, and the linear panel. We're going to go through each one of these. We'll use the same tools that we used in the previous image. We're going to use D-stretch, the program of programs. And the first one is the so-called triangle panel. And I see woolly mammoths. I mean, it's not like maybe not. I see woolly mammoths. And what this probably is woolly mammoths in the wintertime. But not just woolly mammoths that are walking around, but it might even be like pareidolia of like an ice sheet that looks like woolly mammoths. So I believe 100% convinced this is woolly mammoths, and that they saw natural irregularities in the wall and they brought it out from there. But it's also possible that this could be like some sort of ice falls or cliff area outside the cave that they got that idea from, because that's what it looks like. I mean, I spent a lot of time around ice sheets, and that's what it looks like. Okay, and here we have without the D-stretch, we're looking at it just an outline, and there's a mother and her juvenile mammoth, and the forward right leg of the mother mammoth is kind of slipping, kind of pushing, nudging the juvenile along. Yeah, kind of cool image.
Yeah, and, I see it.
Yeah, cool stuff. Now there's another one, so-called dotted panel, and this one I'm going with, it's oryx and snow. Oryx are bovine, big cows, right? And what we see is we can see the head of one oryx, and pretty clear to me. And what forms the head on the muzzle, or this indented area on one oryx, determines the oryx behind her. We can also see the oryx behind her, kind of over the back of her shoulders. And then what we find is we only have those dots on what I'm saying is the oryx. I'm saying it's snow. I'm calling that snow. And whereas below where I'm saying there's aurochs, the snow disappears. And those dots disappear. And then we have the forward legs of the aurochs, and we can also see the kind of like the hair, that the fur looks like it's frozen as it's hanging down. Again, we're talking winter scene. All three of these, and the bears I was hiding in the cave. I'm saying that the woolly mammoths, as well as aurochs and snow. Isn't that poetic?
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, Brandon and snow might have been better, but aurochs and stuff. But I can still name you or somebody else. I could name these aurochs.
I like yours. We'll have a contest for it. When you have one come up, we'll come up with something cool, and enough people that share some of your work or something like that get to name your panel. Something like that. We'll come up with something fun. Just throw us a couple of new panels aside, and we'll do something awesome with it. Share the love.
New panels. This is a limited quantity out there. It's a scant resource.
That's why I'm saying this is a beautiful thing. So you guys got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, cool stuff. So here we have without the D stretch, we can see the original with the two aurochs, and it's aurochs in snow. There might be tails of the aurochs behind. I'm not really clear because they've broken off some of the bit of the panel up there. So I don't want to it'd be too risky on what I interpret. But I'm pretty good with that first and second aurochs and in the snow. Okay. And then we have another panel called so-called linear panel, which is totally meaningless. But I couldn't rename this one because it had a name, right? I mean, I could put two together and name it, but I can't name it. Yeah. That's not fair game. Okay. So it's a bear. There's a bear, maybe a mother bear, maybe not, don't know. And the ears are either, as I draw them, coming off the back of the head, or they're on top. I'm not really sure. And you can kind of see if you look in the kind of blue, particularly blue on top of the bear. Not too big a stretch to make. I'm not sure. And but it's out there both ways. And what we can see in this bear is that the tongue is out, and we can see the right arm just reaching out towards something. It's just reaching out there, reaching out to space as we in this image. And here we can look at the original image against my illustration. So D-stretch doesn't make anything up. But an awesome bear. And it's also a very thin bear. I've looked at a lot of images of bears over time, and I've actually seen bears in the wild. This is the thin bear. This is the late winter scene. This bear hasn't had much food in a while. Okay.
It kind of looks like one of those giant tree sloths. You know what I mean?
It does, actually, yeah.
Would that be in the same time period, or would they have come in contact with them?
Well, the answer is, yeah, you potentially could have it, but tree sloths look a little different. But it's a thin bear. And I have images in these Paleolithic caves. I mean, just like this, where you've got a plump bear over there, and you got a really thin bear over here, and it just it's a thing. It's bears when they haven't eaten for a few months, they get on the thin side.
Well, it makes sense if you only have so many things you can convey, and you want to do it in an image, and you have a lot of things that can be summed up in an image. Then having a bear delineated in different sizes would tell you sort of multitude of things. Yes, the time period in which you're depicting the bear was in, just by depicting the bear skinny, now you're depicting a winter bear. I get it. It makes sense to depict the same animal at different phases of, I guess, cycles of year.
Winter.
Because absolutely, it makes sense.
Absolutely. So just in front of the breast of this bear is a little animal. I have no idea what it is. I mean, I have absolutely no idea. I will tell you that newborn bears, like, days old, kind of look like this animal. They look like rats. I'm not going to say they're rats, but they look like freaking rats. This
What
looks
about
like
one of those
rat.
little Arctic mongooses?
So that's another idea. And I'm saying I don't really know. It could be some sort of rodent. There's no a mongoose. It could be a lot of things. I just don't know. And but we find it again.
Oh shit!
We find it in the
Simba
mouth
eating a mouse. That's what that looks like.
He does. So it actually looks like the same sort of animal is in the mouth of another animal, which I don't know what it is. I mean, I can't say a feline would not be a bad call. I just
maybe
don't
like the
know.
bear was the little thing's friend, because it looked alive in front of in the other image. If you don't mind, Bernie, will you talk back to that
Go
other
back.
image?
There
Okay,
goes.
so there he looks alive and happy and pumped up with his bear or sloth friend. But in the next image, if you would, Bernie, then now he looks like his friends got yeeted off by some cat. So in the next image, is it him like chasing off and whooping the cat and getting his friend back, or?
Well, that's a pretty good narrative, and
It's like a Paleolithic Tom and Jerry right there.
so the next image is actually the coolest images in this whole presentation. It's an Arctic fox. It has a short snout, and when you see it, it just pop. You're like, oh, you see it?
Do you have a mouse or anything you can trace for us?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Here's the
yeah.
eye. Here's the eye, and there's the ear, and there's the short snout, and the mouth. Undermouth.
Holy shit,
Like
there it is. Okay, it kind of looks like a raccoon from the side, but I get where you're talking about fox, because that's what would be in the area. I get it. Wow, that's interesting.
Not just what would be in the area, but foxes in France do not look like that today. They look just like the ones down in Texas and here in Oregon. But that's what the fox in the Arctic look like. There's different types of fox in the Arctic, but in the Arctic they do have that blunt nose, this blunt snout. And so I really thought about that one. And the closest match is an Arctic like fox with a shorter snout, but the ears, it's just like. The ears are fox. They're fox ears. The eyes and the under chin and you actually those teethies in there. And it's like really, really, really cool. It just pops when you see it. And these awesome French archaeologists in the cave. I mean, they miss the beauty of the panel. I mean, we can only give sympathy for their loss. And so we put those all together. What's the story? The mother bear is waving off the fox. The other animal, which I have no idea what it is, when Simba's not, could be a Simba, could be a lion, it has a little rodent in its mouth, or like baby bear right out of the
It's
sack.
kind of stretched out. I'm gonna still put mongoose on the list, like those little Arctic ones. You know what I mean? They're adorable. They're like minks or whatever. They're tiny.
Minks,
They're cute as shit.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it because I don't know. I mean,
Fair enough.
I do not have all the answers in the universe at the moment. Give me time.
No, who does?
Give me a few lifetimes. A few lifetimes, we'll figure it out. So let's talk about, what are other things like this? Well, these finger fluting type of art can be found in the Chauvet Cave. In the Chauvet Cave, the oldest of the art in the Chauvet Cave is dated to 37,000 years ago. Okay, that doesn't mean that this finger fluting is of 30,000 years. It could be of 16, it could be 20. We don't know because it wasn't dated. But the oldest is 37,000 years ago. And this one, there's a whole bunch of characters in there. I think there's a mammoth and there's a reindeer and all different stuff. But that's the Chauvet Cave in France. Chauvet Cave is like the the Upper Paleolithic Louvre for the France. It is the big deal. There is, if you could talk to French about any art in the world, and they'll just, well, it's not as good as El Chauvet, this is the thing. And the Chauvet was found probably or actually refound about 25 years ago. So it's not that old. And there was a movie made by Werner Herzog. It called The Cave of Forgotten Dreams. And it was about Chauvet. And it was all about, spirituality and basically, not being able to explain anything like we're talking about today. Okay.
Fair enough.
So basically, cool, but Cave of Forgotten Dreams. And so CHAUVET for everybody out there. So we didn't talk about this I have a lot of material that we haven't done. In previous presentations and conferences, I've talked about other bears that are found in Upper Paleolithic cave art, and these are all northern Iberia, northern Spain. We have 3 panels, and they each have bears, and they have bear cubs, and the bear cubs are either they're some way being protected by the mothers. And one of them, the one in the middle, there is protected by hyenas. And I've taken since none of these panels actually had names, I have taken the liberty to name them all: panel of the bears, the panel of the bears, and the panel of the bears.
Okay.
and so this is my deep personal connectionship with Spanish archaeologists, that I've been able to bring forth some names for them to these panels. And I'm sure they appreciate that very much. So they're really cool stuff. And this it's like its own presentation. But the point of the matter in this one is that we have images in the Upper Paleolithic made by Homo sapiens in time periods between 16 and 27,000 years ago that have bears, bear cubs, hyenas, and other animals. And the top one seems to be a hibernating situation, something in its mouth. It's actually it's a wolverine. You talk about wolverine. It's a wolverine. The top one is a wolverine in its mouth. It's actually pieces of a wolverine. So we have these scenes in Homo sapiens Upper Paleolithic cave art in northern Spain. And I haven't gone through all the French caves to figure out what they do and do not have.
Have you ever done psychedelics, Bernie? Like mushrooms or LSD or anything like that?
I did shrooms. I did shrooms twice. I did them shrooms became legal, decriminalized in Oregon about 3 years ago.
Heard about that. How's that going up there?
Yeah. Well, it's a step. So a few things have happened. One is it became decriminalized, and the second stage was to have it for use, therapeutic use. And you can, in a group setting, each person starting in like 3 months can pay $850 each to go have a group setting with a therapist and some sort of like emergency team in the same facility. $850 a person.
Does that interest you?
No interest at all.
Right?
No, not at all. Like 0, 0, 0, 0.
Sounds like the last thing that you do.
Yeah, and so I did shrooms twice, and I did it for I didn't until it was decriminalized. And it's nothing to do with that; it just became more available, decriminalized.
Right.
And I learned 2 things.
Doesn't matter.
I learned 2 things. One thing I learned is that if you have no eye-hand coordination, okay, so you're not going to write your best novel, your best song on shrooms, because you won't even be able to read your own handwriting. So nobody did this art in shrooms. They couldn't, because they didn't have the eye-hand coordination.
My question is, have you sat with your work and looked at it while on mushrooms?
Yeah, okay, we're going to go there. We're going to go there. We're going to go there. We're going to go there.
Oh, my God,
okay.
I know. I just get ahead of you. My bad.
So, and the second part is nobody could have even walked into these. These are deep caves. These are very dangerous caves. Nobody was walking around in these caves on shrooms either, because you lose your,
What about with the idea of the food of the gods idea, that where actually the monkeys...
Total bullshit. Total bullshit. Total BS.
Right.
Complete nonsense. Absolutely utter nonsense. I mean, not even close. And so...
When they took the mushrooms outside the cave and then we're like, oh, I got to draw something. What is drawing? And they're like, let me show you. And they're all like tripping.
Because this is what happens. So I've looked at cave art. Kind of the final stage of doing stuff was I looked at stuff that I had seen, I'd actually studied, and I looked at stuff that I hadn't studied. And this is what shrooms does. What shrooms does, it looks like things are floating, okay? But they're not floating. What your eyes are doing are trying to to find what it actually is. So we're talking. I mean, you could have a face of your best buddy in front of you, and the face could be like floating around and whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so when you're on shrooms, you actually lose the ability to do this or see things in detail. There's no freaking way that you're going to be able to draw any of these things on shrooms because everything's floating around in you. And so, and how I figured this out was that I made notes on my pictures, and I couldn't read my own notes.
Dude, it's in some like crazy Neanderthal handwriting. You tapped into a Neanderthal. You embodied the actual artist that you were in that past life that created this thing. That's wild. What about that? Have you thought about that? That you're the artist of this stuff and you're just discovering your own work?
Well, I don't think any of this stuff is Neanderthal. So that's the whole thing. Okay, so we're back to this concept. All these things Neanderthal. Okay, I don't believe in Neanderthal. Okay, so there's a few problems. We kind of start off this program with what makes Neanderthal, what's the Homo sapiens. We're now at 54,000 years ago that we have definite Homo sapiens in Europe by the molar. No question about it. Nobody debates it. These guys are saying that the cave was closed off 57,000 years ago, and there was that 3,000 years that nobody was there. Well, first of all, we only have evidence of the molar that Homo sapiens were there 54,000 years ago. Homo sapiens were in Europe before they left that molar, right? It's just like that's the evidence. So that's one evidence. The second evidence is Neanderthals were in Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. And the only cave art on walls that people are calling out are on these borderlines. Okay, so this one, they're saying 3,000 years. Well, it must have been Neanderthal because Homo sapiens, the line is drawn 54. Well, we were saying that 10 years ago, people were saying that it was at 30,000, and it was 35,000, it was 40,000. And all those, the 30, and 45,000 ages, they're all history now, but they're still calling it Neanderthal art because at that time it was published in the peer-reviewed journal, therefore it must be true, which is total bullshit too. But as a concept that we're at 57, they're saying this block closed off at 57, therefore it can only be Neanderthals because Homo sapiens are only up in the area to 54,000 years. Absolute nonsense. Now this is what I will be good with. Okay, it's hybrid. Doesn't mean that the hybrid, you had to have a hybrid to make the art, but it could have been a hybrid. Homo sapiens mixed with Neanderthals 300,000 years ago. So our DNA goes back that far in Neanderthals. And it went back that far in what we call Palestine or Israel today, depending on your politics. And so we had that mixing 300,000 years ago. And there's nothing to believe that these people did not have Neanderthal Homo sapien hybrids. That in fact made this cave art. But it has, I would say that it's not because we had the Neanderthal genes that made the cave art, but we were just mixed, So I'm okay, and this is what I said to the French, and I was gonna let them off easy, right? I was gonna say, okay, guys, we'll just call it Homo sapiens Neanderthal cave art, and you guys are good. You win. I mean, you could be famous because you would then have evidence of the first or earliest Homo sapien Neanderthal cave art in the world, which sounds a lot better than Neanderthal.
I think Homo Neanderthal sounds dope as shit. What about that?
Well, actually, so it's So Homo sapiens Neanderthal would be like, So actually, you
Homo Neanderthal.
I think that
it sounds like a band name.
I think Homo Neanderthal is the actual species of Neanderthals, but we just say Neanderthals.
Oh, okay.
It's actually
that's
Homo
a good name
Neanderthalis.
for it. So I'm glad somebody fucking did it.
So so we would need to say that the sapiens Neanderthal, something like that. But so yes, I'm good with the blend. I have no issue with that, but it's not the blend, and this is the reason why. So in South Africa, actually sub-Saharan Africa, there's no Neanderthal DNA in people. And they historically made just as good art as people north of the Sahara. So it doesn't have, if you have more or less Neanderthal DNA, doesn't make you a better or less artist. Okay. So there's no relationship between the genes and the art, which is kind of we look at these images and they made the decision, not on the dating of the panels or the characters of the panels or any connection with other things. They just based it on they said the cave closed 57,000 years ago, and the Homo sapiens were only there in France to 54,000 years ago. I mean, that exact date, not like 47,001 day and one, just like 47,000 ago. Not a week later, not a month later, not a year later. And they said that, I mean, that's the line. And I say that is totally absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And so now they've been out there in the media, and I've followed the media, and I've had hundreds of people read. I did this as a presentation for a conference symposium a month ago. And I then put that the program or the notes onto Academia EDU, where people go, and a few hundred people, archaeologists, have gone and read my paper. And I feel for these guys. I mean, I really feel for these guys. But, we have this, now we're looking at this DNA diagram of Neanderthals and Denisovans and modern humans. Well, this chart does not bring us any closer to explaining what makes us human. And I would say part of what makes us human, or versus what makes us not Neanderthals, not Denisovans, which we share DNA, is that we made art. And I don't mean art that was painted on our faces or our chests, or beads that are strung around our neck, or some sort of tattoo, or we just put our hand in the mud and we just happen to have it today. But we made figurative art of animals in their natural state that told us something about their world, or that told themselves about their world. And we can look back at that today and learn about their world. We can see that there were Arctic-like foxes in France that had shorter noses. We can see that there are hyenas that were, stalking the mother bear while she was hibernating in her cave, trying to steal the antelope and the deer. And we can see that they recognize the same thing, that cats look down on us and pigs treat us as equal, that they had these same concepts, and they had the same sensibility of the world as we did. And by putting the information on the walls of caves, just as we saw in the previous episode with the Gallery of Discs, we saw astronomy, and we saw maps, and we saw animal geography, and all these sort of things. We built the foundations to learn from, because Neanderthals may have had all this information in their head, and I have no doubt about that they could hold all this information in their head. They knew what a bear was, they knew what a bear cub was, and they knew the hyena and the cervix. They know all that stuff, but because they didn't write it down that could be carried on, it had to be verbally transferred to somebody else. And it's also, it's hard to travel. It's hard to travel and hard to pass on information like that because you lose it. So if some Neanderthal could have figured out calculus, but calculus in the head, I have no issue with that. But that Neanderthal died, and the kids died in some sort of landslide or something, and they just lost everything. What we had the ability to do is we had to write down, put on the walls of caves, and so that we could hold this information and build on it over time. And we today look back at previous episode, we saw the maps, we saw the stars, and this one we're looking at these compilations of bears and other animals in the caves, and we can learn about their world. Neanderthals couldn't do that, and Denisovans didn't leave that record either. And that's what I would say what makes us human. It also makes us spiritual beings, because we took these images of the natural world and we brought it down into the caves. And we connected the two realms. And we can travel out. We traveled through the cracks in the caves, and we traveled to the terrestrial plane. And we experienced the enormity of the cosmos through this process. Whereas Neanderthals probably had a great time looking at mother bears and their cubs, and just figuring out whether the moose or the mother bear was going to win the fight. But they didn't project it into the walls of caves as we have. And so charts like this do not tell us anything about what makes us human. And but we can today. And I have lots of links. I have lots of social media. BeforeOrion.com, as you start off, is my web page, and YouTube and all these sort of places. And we have, you and I have got, Brandon, we've got about 10 hours of videos to catch up on, I'm going to tell you.
Dude, we're going to do them all. Let's absolutely do this. This is a blast.
We have material to do. So you have been silent through this whole process and just contemplating the cosmos. Where are you in this time and place?
Well, thank you. I mean, this is fascinating. Every time we speak, this is absolutely amazing. And so you get the wheels turning in new directions, especially when it comes to answering questions with the best information that we have at the time. And that's sort of, I guess, what I was thinking with this is, if these hybrid beings, which Homo sapienderthals, perhaps, maybe, there was some sort of crossover, maybe some mushrooms, maybe not. But how do paradoxical answers that can't be proven by science yet fit into any of your possible notions of an answer for this? Would you like an example of that, or do you have an answer?
Give me an answer. Give me an example.
Like time travel, aliens, something like maybe somebody time travel, because there's these things called UPAs, these out of place objects. Have you ever heard of these things?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there's amazing things called out of place objects, and let me see actually if I can on the fly here find you.
Actually, I understand that concept. Yes, I do understand. Okay, in fact, we in the previous episode we had out of place objects completely.
Right.
And the out of place object was the gallery of discs, where we saw all the characters in Greek astronomy in the same order on the cave wall as they were in the night sky. Completely out of place object. Completely. So it's completely out of place object because nobody could even have imagined it was there. Astronomy, there was no astronomy in the Western mind past 5,000 years ago. Absolutely didn't exist. Okay, the indigenous peoples could, see, bears in the sky, things like that. But this concept of having the whole night sky at a certain time of year with the exact same animals as the ancient Greeks is completely out of place. Nobody expected it to happen, even me. Completely out of place. As we talked about Homo the last time, we saw these engravings on the walls of the Rising Star Cave, the Cave of Bones. Nobody saw that coming, and I sure as heck didn't see it. And I had no concept that we would have found the same characters in the same order as we find these upper Paleolithic caves, as we find in the Rising Star Cave in South Africa. The artists are connected. I mean, there's no question. It's like not even feasible. So it's not a paradox. It's that these artists knew each other. They knew each other's works. They knew each other's works, and that there was cultural exchange between South Africa and Europe 36,000 years ago. So sometimes when there are explanations for these paradoxes, when you've been studying the bigger picture and you say, oh my God, these things connect. I had no idea this was even possible. And on the gallery of discs we talked about last time, we had the giraffe, the mother giraffe. And I didn't know that giraffe came from South Africa. And someone was a wildlife biologist, very famous wildlife biologist, was helping me. And he said it was a Maasai giraffe. And I said, I'm not going to go there because I knew there were giraffes in North Africa, and I could sell that story. That it's only a 3-hour swim across the Strait of Gibraltar from Gibraltar to Morocco. Could have seen giraffes, swam back. I'm good. He said they were Maasai giraffes, and based on and the artists are really good, very descriptive how they form their animals, and so Maasai giraffe, the same artwork shows up in a cave in South Africa with the Maasai giraffe, where Maasai giraffes naturally are. It just blew my mind. Never thought that could happen, but I was told, back in 2015, my wildlife biologist, that's Maasai giraffe. And so we talked about maybe the Maasai giraffes had migrated north, and because tens of thousands of years to do that. So these are these paradoxical things that if you can catch the bigger picture with the elements that connect, they're no longer paradoxes. And so I think there's a lot of paradoxical characters out there that we're missing elements. And an obvious one for your audience is the pyramids and the Mayan pyramids too, right? I mean, people look. My explanation for that is that you can go around the world, you can find pyramids, but they're not man-made. They're mountains all around the world. People look at mountains, they see pareidolia mountain. The holy man always climbs the cosmic mountain, whether you call him a shaman or you call him a priest or you call him Moses, right? Doesn't matter what you call that person. Around the world, people climb mountains where they exist. And when they don't exist, people make mountains. So the Mayan region, the Yucatan Peninsula, is completely flat. But they felt they needed the mountains because that is the spiritual mountain, the spiritual mountain that the holy man needs to climb. The Giza Plateau, completely flat. and they put the pyramids there. And when they stopped making the Giza pyramids, they went to the Valley of Kings, which has a pyramid type of mountain on top of it, and they built into the walls, which effectively be digging into caverns into the mountains. So I think that we have this archetypal symbol within our head of a mountain. We also have a river transformation. And Jung, the psychologist, Swiss psychologist, he studied the dreams of people. He found that the two most common non-organic elements that people find in dreams are the mountain and the water. Okay, and you can listen to songs. You can look at myths. You can look at, Hercules and Perseus both climb Jebel Tobakal, Mount Atlas. You can go around the world. You can find all these great stories and poems and so on. You can climb every mountain. You can cross every stream. We've heard that before, and it's because it comes from our unconscious. And so I don't think that there is that people who made the pyramids had any connection to the Mayan, the Yucatan Peninsula, but rather much deeper in time, we come from a place where we develop these archetypal characters of this hero that goes on his journey to climb the mountain to reach the stars and have the greatest transformation possible. And so that's probably the most common one that's out there that people talk about. Well, these obviously, darn right they are, and it's actually pretty. If you're going to build tall structures, the easiest way to do it is to do it pyramidal. And so there's and where people had mountains and hills, they worship those instead. I lived in China for 4 years, and God, there's a stack of cosmic mountains with holy or heavenly or across the whole freaking whatever. There's a mountain. It's and young people, they say that you can never find nirvana, eternity, whatever it is, unless you've climbed the cosmic mountain. The mountain of transformation, the mountain of faith, to follow the holy man, people of those times. Was that an answer?
It's an interesting thesis. It really is, because I mean, if you think about it, mountains are revered. That's where all the gods are found. We've talked about it a bunch. We even talk about them being open portals to inner Earth, perhaps, which some cool, fun chats. But to think about men, bring the mountain to Muhammad, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you don't have it, build it. And that's interesting. And then also, though, then it would be not only, it's almost like a kind of one-upping on God, right? It's kind of like, hey, you got mountains and you draw people, but we draw people too, because look at the mountain we built. And maybe that's what, this Tower of Babel idea was too, is just to build some sort of killer mountain, you know what I mean? And say like, fuck you, Dad, to God or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's to build your own mountain to reach the great beyond, and to cheat it creates the platform for the holy man in the lowlands.
It elevates you where you weren't elevated because God didn't give you mountains. You're like, well, fuck, I'll build my own. I like it.
At the top of Everest, it's believed the regional people believe that that's where the gods preside, and of course, because for a long time they hadn't gone up there, and therefore the gods are somewhere, therefore they're at the top of Everest. And this is a concept we find all around the world. It's just, I live here. I can look out the back window and it's early in the day, and I can see Mount Hood. And Mount Hood was considered a sentient being. And there's another mountain called Mount Adams, and they're brothers, and they fought with each other. And they're both volcanic, and so the fighting was actually the volcanic rocks, right, and eruptions. They fought over a third mountain, which is Mount St. Helens, which of course was a woman. And they have a whole sacred narrative about this, of these animistic sanctioned mountains that are truly spiritual beings, that tell them about their origin story, about how their world came to be. It's a thing. I mean, and so Jung found that in the dreams of people. Not maybe some people had read about the Hercules who climbs Mount Atlas, and maybe they learned about the other of Abraham who climbs the mountain, or Jesus who's transfigured on a mountain, right, or mound. The same concept. There's no mountains there, right? So it's a mound, and so maybe they did, but they kept it with them, and that's what they dreamed about. And I believe that people around the world have been dreaming about these mountains, whether they're the Mayan temples aren't that high. I mean, tall. You may have been there. They're not that tall. I mean, they're tall. If you're going to go build them, you say, "Wow, that's pretty tall." But you look
I like
at
that you go
downtown
out to the
in a
Mayan
city,
pyramids,
it's
and
really
you're
not
like,
that tall. If you look at any mid-sized city, you'll see,
big of a deal.
30, 44 buildings. You're like, that's kind of tall. You go to New York City, you got some, in Chicago, you got some really big ones. You go to Dubai, they're even bigger than that, taller than that. So they created their sacred mountains. And that's what I would, there's really, you're a musician, and someday we're going to camp out and you're going to play your fiddle for me, right? Your flute or something.
You're going to come hang out with us. We're starting to do these live events, man, next year.
Yeah, here's a Billy Joel story. Billy Joel. And so Billy Joel was married to Christy Brinkley. And in the scale of things, if you're going to find a spouse for life, she's a pretty good one, right? And if you can have your male, him being a musician, Billy Joel is not so. If you're going to be dedicated to any one body of music, Billy Joel's not a bad one to have, right? Okay. I mean, it's not the Beatles. It doesn't have
you like it. I think it's fun.
I know, but it's got
I couldn't pick one genre, and that's why the face. I couldn't pick one genre, and that's the thing. If I had to pick one genre, I wouldn't. I would say give me the tinnitus. I don't know that I'd want to, because then it's torture at that point. I would think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So she heard. She went to the concerts and she heard the same tunes. Piano Man. Well, anyway, so Billy Joel has a dream one night. He has a dream. So he's not dreaming about Christy because she's there, right? Doesn't need to dream about her. She's there. So he dreams, and in his dream, he dreams of mountains and rivers. And he actually dreams up the song, the river song, the what's the name of the song? The river song.
I can Google this shit real quick.
He crosses the river. Song? He's afraid to cross the river and climb the mountains of faith. The River of Dreams. That's it. River of Dreams. We got it.
I wouldn't trust but verify, buddy. I'm halfway through this bitch. River of Dreams. Very nice. What year? What do you got?
Well, Christy Brinkley did the cover, drew the cover. I'm going to take a guess. 85? No, not 85. No, not 85. Can't be. It's. I remember I was living in New York, and I was 20. I was about 30 years old. And I'm 59 now. So I believe in you. It was about 30 years ago.
I believe in you. Come on.
It was about 30 years ago.
93. Well done.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You popped 80s in there, and I was like, I already know. Well done.
I'll tell you this.
Bernie
and this
Taylor.
is how
Lord.
This is how I kind of played it back, was that I had a friend, and a mutual friend of ours had died. And he died young, in like his early 30s.
And Billy Joel had a mutual friend?
No, a friend of mine in New York had a mutual friend, and my mutual friend, my friend, we talked about a mutual friend. And he said to me that he crossed to fish the other side of the stream, which was a metaphor. And my friend and I were talking about the Billy Joel song at the time, and about that time, so it kind of like all came together. It was the talk, but it was archetypal talk that we all understood. Okay, so going back to Billy Joel has the River of Dreams song, and he wakes up and he has it in his head, and he says, this is not like my thing, because he's not a spiritual guy. And in fact, he says in the song, I'm not a spiritual man. So he goes into the shower and he tries to wash it off, but that doesn't actually work. You can't wash things out of your head. So he gets out of the shower and he's like, I'm just so frustrated with this thing, and I'm going to write it down to get rid of it. Well, now that he does write it down, it becomes one of his biggest hits, right? And it was sort of like his later hits. It was a solid song, and the YouTube, the video, the MTV video at the time, he's got three black guys in the background. They snap their fingers and got the dark glasses, and it's a very soulish type of thing. And Billy Joel didn't want to do it because he says, I'm not a spiritual guy. Now, I have some insight about Billy Joel, is that I have some religious roots back in the East Coast where I come from. And Billy Joel used to hang out at the Abbey and drink beer with the monks. And he would discuss these actual concepts that that evolved in the River of Dreams, because he was trying to understand it himself. Well, if Billy Joel had spoken to a psychologist instead of the monks, God bless their souls, they would have said, Billy, there's a metaphor. There are archetypal characters about transformation, about you being afraid to cross to the other side. You're afraid of death. That is the transform. He said it's too deep in the song. It's too far to cross, and it's too deep to wade. It's about crossing to the other side to accept that there's a life beyond. And it's archetypally a life beyond, and that life beyond was something not really his personal death at the moment to move on to something else. Don't know what it is. Don't know, and a little bit Billy, but not that stuff. And but he talks about crossing the river of dreams, and climbing the mountains of faith. And these are all the things that we find in the poems and the myths that Jung found in the dreams of people. And we find archetypally around the world in the monuments that we build, the mountains that we revere and climb. There's no reason to climb a mountain. There's no reason. Absolutely not. You're treacherous. You get hurt. You can die. There's absolutely no reason to climb a mountain.
I love climbing mountains. Like, not all the way. Maybe you just troll around. Like hiking.
It's psychological. But it's psychological. It's psychological.
Yeah.
So it's deep. It's inside us. It's an archetypal character within our psyche that we can't let go of.
This is deep shit, Bernie.
It is. Well, we did go back 75,000 years.
I take back what I said. If I had to be stuck with one genre, I would. And you know why? Because the reverence you have for it would not make it torturous. Honestly, I think it's cute that you like it so much. I want to show you something.
No. I'm saying that's maybe Christie was. I mean, I personally, I said here that Christie made that choice.
Oh, okay.
Well,
then I go back to tinnitus. Check this out. I have a couple of things I wanted to show you on this before I turn you loose here tonight. But check this out, man. This is something called UPAs. And we talked about this. I just kind of want to get your opinion on this. What about this thing? Like this cell phone that was found. Let's go to, Okay, so this thing, an UPA, here we go. It's UPA, which is an out-of-place object. It's an acronym.
That's the Antikythera mechanism. I'm okay with that. So the Antikythera mechanism.
The new Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I've seen.
What'd you think?
So
I thought it was cool shit with the time travel thing with the tunnel. All right.
Yeah,
Bermuda Triangle,
really
like
cool.
Flight 19.
Yeah,
There's that pilot who flew 100 miles going through a time tunnel. That's kind of the references to
multiverse
Triangle.
sort of stuff. Yeah, I got it. So anyway, the Antikythera mechanism is a mechanical computer, and I would say that I say it's no big deal, and this is the reason why I would say it's no big deal.
Look at this damn
because
thing.
This is the reason. Okay, this is the way. Because the ancient Greeks borrowed astronomy from cave artists 34,000 years ago.
Okay.
So they
had time. They had a bunch of knowledge they built on, is what you mean. I think
they had knowledge that they built on. Yeah,
I see. So they already had the synchronicity or the precision of the heavens figured out, so they could just go into the craftsmanship of how to kind of portability it.
Yeah. And I'm okay with
that's cool. That's what we like.
The ancient Greeks had pulleys to take water out of the wells. This is obviously a few steps above pulleys to take the water out of a well, but it's really cool. It'd be awesome, really awesome if the Greeks had invented everything that goes into it, but they didn't.
Well, kind of like Tesla's shit. His stuff got taken and put into everything. Like his patents are used in everything. Everybody just kind of ganked from him. So what if what was his name?
They had MS-DOS before they started building this thing.
Was it Achilles?
What did it take? Oh. What did it take to develop MS-DOS? That was the big jump. Okay, that was a huge jump.
Well, and this is interesting. I think just because of the mechanism itself, but I also think it's now more fascinating that Bernie's just like Antikythera mechanism, 1 star. Next. All right, so we will next you, sir. What about this cell phone thing? What about this? What the hell is going on? This is not as advertised. Okay, they find all this crazy shit.
I say cell phone, yeah. Okay, so the cell phone, I haven't looked into the cell phone one.
Do you want to watch a YouTube video on it real quick with everybody?
Yeah. So things fall down
10.
holes.
I don't want to sit you through that.
Yeah.
So you think that this just maybe fell down a hole, but it's got look at this. It's got cuneiform on it, which is why it's an issue, right? This is the problem here. Is that
I would want to look before I had any comment on that one.
Bro,
I want to take a look.
I see
that. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
For shits and gigs, let's say that. Do you think that this is authentic?
That doesn't have to be a cell phone. Why is this? Is it electronics inside?
I think
that's a tablet.
Okay, yeah, just like a clay tablet that's been carved with cuneiform in that. But look at the designs. It's the exact layout that we would have for a cell phone. Isn't that wild? And even next to, now I'm not pareidoling, we're having fun with it, but even next to, like they did here with this Nokia here.
Yeah, there's tens of thousands of tablets of cuneiform tablets.
Write it off. I love it.
To have one that to come up with one that looks like that.
What about this bolt?
It's cool.
I'm just going to ask you stuff. Just ruin our lives with this. What about this bolt? 21 objects found in coal and ancient artifacts. Yeah, let's do this. Cross these off the list for us here, Bernie. So,
don't know about the bolt. I'd have to actually look at that one.
Have you heard of this shit with frogs? Live frogs being found in rocks. People are digging out. In coal,
I've known about. I'm going to tell you a story.
Bang a rock open.
Okay, you got to give me some
live frogs.
So when I lived grew up in New York, in Long Island, and we had a place up in New Hampshire that we skied in the winter and fished in the summer and stuff. And we used to fish with frogs. And we used to
fish with frogs?
Were they live frogs.
Okay.
They were live frog. You put a hook and you threw it out there, and the bass or the pickerel would just like whomp on them. Okay.
Okay.
And so we used to keep the frogs in the bucket. And then one year we forgot to take the frogs out of the bucket at the end of the summer, and they're in there. Okay, so here's it. So they hibernated. And then we were up in the winter, so we're talking, Christmas time, and turn the heat on. We had frogs jumping around.
No way.
So as a concept, frogs hibernate. I don't know how frogs will hibernate for,
but
or
this
if they can get
million year in they sat there basically in a spot, or let's say that I've heard these other opinions because I've been fascinated by this phenomena forever. I heard like 3 stories of these old miners in the 1800s like cracking open a piece of rock inside of 400 million year old coal. Like it's way the hell down. They can verify it's old as shit. And then a live frog hops out. And I've heard these ideas of like there was a hole in it, so therefore an egg got in there, the frog grew and then couldn't get out. How insane would that frog be after 400 million years of not going anywhere? And how would it get any nutrients or anything? Did it like things just fall in through and it just was able to sort of synthesize, or I don't know, due to the immobility, maybe it wasn't using a lot of energy and it could go on stasis? I mean, not eating for like decades. Like how the hell does that happen, dude? If it's
You
real.
didn't ask me what we did our frog in New Hampshire, the frogs that jumped out of the pail.
What'd you do? Fished with them the next spring?
We put them back in the pail, and then they went off. It's freezing. It's freezing. We left them in the basement, and they popped out the next summer. Actually, they popped out in the spring before we got there because it warmed up enough, and they died before we got there.
With the happy ending. Okay, last one. I want to ask you about this. This 140.
The hammer.
Come on, he's writing it off already, ladies and gentlemen.
So this one's actually quite interesting, and I have no issue that this fell down a shaft and the material. The word's not calcified, but whatever the word is for this material that moved around it. Fossilized. Well, not fossilized, but the rock actually built around it. I have absolutely no issue with that. But that was the first big artifact people started talking about, like in the 60s and 70s. And I have no issue that this could happen because I've seen things. I've spent enough time in places that I've seen these sort of things. But nobody said they were a 140 million year old hammer. But it's kind of cool. You see things between each other that, how did it actually get there? But yes, I have no issue that this fell down and the material moved in around it. As I said, I was in Spain a few months ago, and I saw all kinds of material that moved around material objects that were like stuck.
So some sort of landslide or something, you think? Like a hammer wasn't that old. Ooh, have you ever heard of liquefaction? Have you ever heard of that shit, Bernie? Check this shit out.
I need an example. But I've seen things like that. And I've seen tens of thousands of actually not 10,000, we're talking 12,000 years I've seen that sort of stuff. I've seen 12,000 years of that sort of stuff. And I have no reason to believe it couldn't happen in
this shit. Check this out. This is what kind of like the mud floods and the Tartaria idea. Have you gone down that rabbit hole yet, bud? It's fun. Okay, we'll do it for another one. Okay, we'll do it for another one because it's a fun talk. But look at this shit. How the cars just like fall. You know what I mean? And how like this, they got these sticks going on. But it just like, so here's the diagram of it. Here's the science of it, everybody. Basically, the ground is solid, and then something shakes the piss out of the ground. The ground becomes not so solid, and then sinks like and just like wallows shit up, dude. So is that what maybe could have happened to this hammer? It just got caught in a couple of these violent acts of liquefaction is what it's called, and then it
or someone just dropped it down hammer down a shaft. What you're looking at here, like the leaning tower of Pisa sort of stuff. People built on unsteady ground. Yeah, it's that same concept. But yeah, I have no issue that somebody dropped down the shaft.
I didn't even think that the leaning tower of Pisa could have been done to liquefaction. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it was through this. The ground below was not stable, and it tilted exactly what you're looking at right there.
I think it's interesting. And then let me just before I let you go, I've got I want to show you this video of it because it's fascinating. There's examples that people do with some models. Here we go. This shit right here. Oh, for fuck's sake, the ad. Everybody, again, check the... if you have it by now, there's a video link down there that you can check out. Okay. Oh, this is lame. Oh, okay, here we go.
That is so cool.
Look at that shit.
Yeah, leaning towers of Pisa, yeah.
But, I mean, think of that on, like, a big-ass scale. You know what I mean? To where maybe it did that for, like, let's say a week. What would be left on the surface? Then you ask yourself, well, what's like buried just under your house or some shit? Maybe like 50 feet, way further than the sewer systems or anything like that would go.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of crap down
there.
So I'm gonna tell you a story. So we have floods here in Oregon, and we had a huge one. It was about 25 years ago, and it was absolutely massive. And so there might be like 20, 30 meters between the rivers and the bridge at the highest level right now, and the floods went over the bridges. And so, in these lowland areas, you had like your Targets and your Fred Meyers. They were flooded. The whole streets were flooded. What was really cool is you had all this water flowing over the bridges. It was also flowing to the land around it, and so all the fish were swam up into the pastures. And when the water receded, the fish didn't go back with the water. They got stuck in these divots. So it smelled like crap. Yeah. Because you had like dead fish for a long time because all these dead fish. I've seen floods, I've seen dramatic these sort of things, and I lived through the big flood. I was there, so I'm
the one with Noah.
No, not that big flood. Yeah, but I've seen floods.
Man, floods are crazy, especially like you're out hiking or something like that, and you get those flash floods. Have you ever been caught in one of those or seen one?
In India, that's where they happen, right?
I mean, everywhere.
Sri Lanka.
They'll happen just like in a desert area. They happen in Texas. I mean, just anywhere where water hasn't been for a while. Yeah, been flowing at a real low rate, and then they'll open a dam, or maybe just a tremendous amount of snow melt will come down at once, and then just boom. And those things come through with all the logs and everything and the rocks, and it just like scours everything as it goes down, just taking bridges out and shit. It's wild, man.
Yeah, we don't have. See, in Oregon, we have like firm soil, and we have big fir trees, and we have elk that hold the ground down.
Beautiful out there. Yeah, so I've been to Crater Lake out there. Have you ever been there?
Crater, I have never been.
It's down the street from your house. Go see this damn
it's
thing.
About 5 hours down the road
from Texas. That's down the street from your house, dude. Go see that damn thing. And then 2 miles, it's so worth it.
East. Yeah, I've been at a lot of places in Oregon, but not Crater Lake. Someday,
put it on the list for you and the wife. Just hop over there for a weekend, something like that. Maybe stay nearby. It's got a little island in the middle of its deepest lake in the North America. I think it's fucking crazy, that thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bernie Taylor. I love the shit out of you. Did you have anything else you wanted to leave us with before we cut it for this time? And of course, we're going to be adding more episodes to the list here. Again, like your first one, 218, down in the show description, as well as if you want to shoot me a link for that D-Stretch app, I will totally link that thing down below.
Yeah.
I know that our audience is familiar with that, with the work of Jose Miguel Perez Gomez. He came on and he uses the same stuff. He's an archaeologist down in Argentina. He's awesome. I'll get you connected with him. He's cool as shit. Anyway, Bernie, it's so good to see you, dude. Thank you again for all of this. This is fascinating. We have so many more of these to look forward to, and let's just work through the stacks of videos you said that you have for us, and let's just do it, buddy.
We'll do it. Make it happen. Peace and be well.